Live. Thank God alive and well. We're live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. I'm Rabbi Cherninsky, Director of Chabad of Newfoundland. It's been a couple of weeks since we had a class, unfortunately. But thank God we're back and ready to rock and roll. So, tonight's class for letters of light is the letter Tzadik, also pronounced Tzadi. We're actually going to be speaking about two different meanings connected to those two possible pronunciations of the letter. Okay, it's the 18th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the alphabet. Tzadik is one of those letters that has a final version. This is the regular Tzadik, and also the final Tzadik, which goes beyond the baseline. The phonic is like TS. Again, once the letter has a vowel, because intrinsically the letters do not have a sound. So it could be tza, te, te, to, toi, tu, depending on the vowel. The graphic design, the shape of the tzaddik is like a nun, the letter nun that we learned of a couple of weeks ago. On top of the nun on the right side, there's a yud, also another letter that we learned about at the beginning. Nun, if you remember, means nefila, downfall, falling, which alludes to the descent of the soul. The soul comes down into the world after enjoying, delighting in godliness, having a good time, and then it's a tremendous, tremendous fall from the delightful spiritual high to a world that not only is godliness hidden, but doubly hidden, as we know from the Baal Shem Tov. We don't even realize that God is in hiding, and our job, of course, is to see God in the world. That's why they have the Yud on the right side of the Tzaddik, because the Yud reminds us of God. Yud is the first letter of God's special name, Yud and Hey, and then Vav and Hey, Yud Ke Vav Ke, known as Shem HaEtzem, the essential name. And the Yud also reminds us of the candle of the Torah, the Torah. As King Solomon writes in the book of Proverbs, Kineir mitzvah Torah oir. For a mitzvah, it's like a candle, Torah is light. And so the Yud is like a flame, reminds us of the light of the Torah. And when we have the light of Torah, then we can see. What can we see? What's good and what's bad. The tzaddik also has the shape of a person that's bent over, carrying on top of a yid, a Jew, Yud, a yid. So that's literally tzaddik, as we're going to say soon. Tzaddik means righteous. So who's a righteous person? Somebody who carries somebody else on his shoulders. The Talmud tells us that before God created the world, all the letters came and said, God, please create the world with me. And all the letters came starting from the letter Tov, which is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, going backwards, Shin, Resh, Kuf, etc. Until God, of course, created the world with the letter Beis, Bet, Bereshit Bara Elokim. That's the first verse in Genesis. That's with the letter Bet, Bereshit. Now, when the letter tzaddik, was making its pitch, making a plaque so that it should be the one to start off the Torah, what did the tzaddik say to God? He said, God, create the world with me because I'm tzaddik. I am righteous. That's what tzaddik means. Don't you want a righteous world? God said, no. The tzaddik has to be concealed. The purpose for the soul is to come down, into a world of what? There should be a world of concealment. And man's mission to find God and good in the world. Our job is to become the tzaddik. You're not born a tzaddik, you need to become a tzaddik. What's the meaning of the letter tzaddik? So we said there's two ways to pronounce the letter. There's tzadi and tzaddik. Tzadi means my side, like tzad means side in Hebrew. Tzadi means my side. Tzadi means that we choose the side of God. God is saying, this is my side. The side of good, the side of evil. God says, my side, the side of good. Yeah? And that's the right side. I know it's the right side. Because the Yud, right, the last letter in Tzadi, if you spell out Tzadi, stands for the word Yamin, which means right. Also, it's brought down in Hasidic thought that, so to speak, God stands in our right side to give us strength and encouragement to be able to be a tzaddik, to fight off our evil inclination, our animalistic impulses and desires. In other words, the ability to do good and overpower evil. Furthermore, the word tzadi, if you move around the letters, is like tza'id, like in the phrase "Tzuda li tza'id," hunt for me a game, which Isaac told to Esau. Tza'id means to hunt, because we come to the world and our job is to hunt and find goodness in the world and discover spirituality in the mundane world. Furthermore, tzadi is tzadik, dalet, yud, 3 letters. Dalet and yud make the shape of the letter hey. We know hey is the letter of creation because God created this world with letter hey. From that hey, then all the other 10 utterances of creation came about. And God created the world with that hey, that ha. It's a light letter. Why? Why the letter hey? Because the world also has 3 lines like the letter hey. What are the 3 lines? Thought, speech, and action. Also, the 3 spiritual realms of Bria, creation, Yetzira, formation, and Asiya, action. So therefore, our job is to explore these worlds, spiritual worlds, and this physical world, and reveal God is in the world. How? When you're a mensch, by being ethical in business, by being kind to other people, and following the Torah, keeping the mitzvot, the commandments. But then there's the other pronunciation of tzaddik, adding a kuf to the tzaddik, tzaddik. Why? Because the kuf, which we will learn about next week, has a line that goes down beneath the baseline. This represents the mission of the tzaddik. Not only does he not enter into a neutral world where you can't see God, but a world that conceals God. Further, the tzaddik goes into a place that's anti-God, that's anti-kosher, that's anti-spiritual, a place where one already sinned and violated the Torah, went beyond the circumscribed lines and borders of creation. And the tzaddik goes into that place to bring back the person that has fallen and sinned. And the tzaddik brings him back home. That's the role of the tzaddik, to inspire the people that sinned, to inspire the people that left the fold of Judaism and lost faith in Almighty God. In other words, the tzaddik is the one who makes the Bali Tshuva, those who return to Judaism. Which brings us back to the second tzaddik, the long tzaddik, the final tzaddik. That represents the Baal Tshuva, the returnee to Judaism, the person that sinned and then came back. One has gone down all the way to the bottom, right? Like the long tzaddik that also goes beyond the baseline. He has hit rock bottom and then he comes back up all the way to the top. So in Hasidic thought, we're told that Moshiach, when he comes, he will cause the tzaddikim, the righteous, to do tshuva. Question is why? If they're righteous, they're doing the right thing, they're following the right path, why do they need to do tshuva? The answer is simple, because you could be doing everything right like a robot, but if you're lacking excitement, you're lacking energy, you're lacking happiness in your service of God, something is missing. You haven't reached that perfect level of serving God, because the perfect level of serving God is with joy and happiness of heart. So about tshuva is even higher than a tzaddik. Yeah, as the Rambam Maimonides writes in the Laws of Tshuva, in a place where the Bali Tshuva stand, even the complete tzaddikim, righteous people, cannot stand. Baal Tshuva is somebody who went to the other side, below the baseline. He went into the world of forbidden sin, but then he returned and came back. And by doing so, he elevates the darkest place that tzaddik can't elevate. And all those sparks in the world of sin, he elevates yeah, and elevates him to the world of good and into the world of holiness. So that's the meaning of the word tzaddik. What's the numerical value of the letter tzaddik? 90. What's the connection between 90 and the tzaddik, the righteous person? Please 1 second. We're told in the Talmud that doing something 3 times is called a chazaka. It's hard to translate in English, but chazaka means when something becomes permanent. Excuse me. Something is very strong. It's called a chazaka. Literally means from the word chazak, right? Strong. However, that's only the beginning of the chazaka. In truth, every letter of the Torah to be complete has to be times 10, not just times 3, but also times 10. Why? We see in synagogue in prayer services for the special holiness comes when we have a group of 10 men, a minyan. God created the world with 10 utterances. He gave us the 10 commandments. So for anything to be complete, you need the number 10. Whatever it is has to be moved up to the number 10. So, really a chazaka, when something is permanent, it's something we said they do 3 times. But we're saying now it also has to be done 10 times. So 3 times 10, 30. Okay, so this means you did something 3 times with all 10 attributes, faculties of your soul, right? The 3 intellectual attributes, 7 emotional ones. So now you have 30. And they do it again and again and again. So that's times 390. That's the ultimate chazaka, permanent. And that's number 90, the tzaddik. The tzaddik is not someone who comes to the synagogue once a year. Could be a nice person, a good guy. But he cannot be a tzaddik. The tzaddik is someone who has a permanence of God in his life. He always does the right thing. He's constantly pursuing this connection with God and always looking to elevate the sparks in this world. And furthermore, he goes beyond the baseline to find those that have fallen in the cracks and heal their relationship with God, to bring them back, to restore their faith in the Almighty God. Tzaddik represents permanence in contrast to the one that could be a good person, but it's once in a while. You can be a tzaddik once a year. You can do a good deed, but you're not a real tzaddik. Why? You don't have the chazaka, you don't have the permanence, the communion of 24/7 every single day, which is a concept of number 90 as the numerical value of the letter tzaddik. Every person can be a tzaddik. We actually have to strive to be a tzaddik, completely righteous. When you turn 90, then hopefully you will have already reached this level of being a tzaddik. When Mashiach comes, he will use the letter tzaddik to let us know that the time for redemption has come. So why? Right, as it says in the books of the prophets, tzemach tzomachti. Why the letter tzaddik? Because it says in the book of Zechariah, chapter 6, verse 12, Ish tzemach shmoi, the name of Mashiach, the Messiah, is tzemach. Tzemach starts with the letter tzaddik. And the verse continues, Umitachtav yitzmach, and through him will flourish, ubon es heichal Hashem, and will build the temple of God. By being a tzaddik, we usher in the ultimate tzaddik, Mashiach, of tzemach tzemachti, as we said, maybe speedily in our days. Again, I'm Rabbi Chernitsky, Director of Chabad of Newfoundland. It's been a pleasure. If you have any questions, you could drop us a comment. If you want, you could send me an email. And guess what it is? rabbinewfoundland@gmail.com. Guess what our website is? rabbinewfoundland.com. Have a good evening. Stay safe.